So I've actually been wondering lately, is it possible to beat a hardcore Nuzlocke in Pokemon White 2 with no evolutions and normal types only? Well, let's see. And just so you guys know, this is not a real hardcore Nuzlocke. It's more of a walkthrough. I want to know what it really takes to do a challenge like this. So let's jump right in. We picked Snivy just cause I feel like Emboar would be the most difficult to fight against since it's fighting type. Then we grab our first two encounters, a Patrat and a Pidove. And then when you get to Flockacy Ranch, you have two encounters that only appear there for the entire game, and that's a Lillipup and a Zooral. And you can always repel to get yourself a Lillipup guaranteed, but you don't actually have access to repels at this point in the game, and you're required to run through the grass for the story. You might as well just restart if you end up with a Zooral instead of Lillipup. It's just going to make things so much more difficult for you. So, the first two gyms are gonna be kind of the same thing. You're gonna want to just dodge crits the whole time. There's not much else you can do here in terms of strategy. You're only gonna want to drop one Pokemon between this battle and the next one. If you drop more than one, you might want to restart. And I found that Patrat is probably the least useful out of most of the things you're gonna get. I get through Charon's battle with 0 losses, but I do drop my Patrat in the battle against Roxy just so I can get a free switch into my Lillipup. The next gym leaders are gonna actually involve some strategy here, and you don't have to rely on not getting crit to get through them. You go to Castelia City next, and this Rattata is going to be your most important encounter for the entire game. It's going to carry you through 95% of battles, and you need to get a Guts one. If you don't get a Guts Rattata, just throw the run in the garbage, restart until you get a Guts Rattata. And through this entire run, don't you dare let anybody lay a finger on your precious little mouse. You can also get either an Eevee or a Skitty from the Castelia City, like middle grass, and I end up getting a Skitty. But now, we can fight Berg. And for a lot of the earlier gym battles, I actually didn't have access to the documentation that showed me the IVs and the natures, so I always assumed the worst case scenario. This Rattata is Guts boosted with a Silk Scarf in one return, can take out the Swadloon. A little overkill, but I didn't know its IVs or its nature. Then when the Dwebble comes out, it can't touch my max HP, max defense Skitty, and I can just mess around with this Dwebble and then set all the way up on it. Skitty could then take out Dwebble and the Leavanny that comes after, getting me the third badge. I grab a Minccino before the Elisa fight, and then I take her on. So, this Emolga is going to die to one Guts boosted return, and the Flaffy will die too, but if I kill this Flaffy, then the Zebstrika will come in, and my Guts boosted return doesn't always take out the Zebstrika. And the Zebstrika has Pursuit, so I couldn't leave my rat in here to get trapped by Zebstrika, so I had to have a different Pokemon out once Zebstrika comes in. When the Flaffy's out, I go into Minccino, who has an eject button, and Flaffy's never going to go for Thunder Wave since my Rattata was already poisoned. Minccino is always going to live a critical takedown or a critical Volt Switch and be hit and activate its eject button. Also, eject button blocks Volt Switch, so this Flaffy has to stay in. And from here, I can go into my Lillipup and hit it with a Choice Banded Dig. Even if this Flaffy paralyzes me with his static ability, I do have Skitty in the back too, with an eject button also, and I was prepared to let Lillipup go down here. But I didn't realize at the time that my Skitty actually had normalized and it would have turned Dig into a normal move. So if I did this again with the same Pokemon, I just have to reverse the roles and have Skitty be the eject button pivot instead of Minccino. But regardless, that's gonna get me the third badge. My next encounter is a Deerling past Driftvale City, and I can take on Clay. And this fight is always guaranteed. I can use one Choice Banded Seed Bomb with max attack EV on my Deerling to take out the Krokorok. Even at -1, this is always a KO. Once Sandslash comes in, I can go directly into my eject button pivot Minccino. I actually wasn't thinking here and I wasted a turn letting it get hit by Crush Claw, but it doesn't matter anyway since Deerling will always take a crit from this Sandslash. We can do the same thing with a Choice Banded Seed Bomb on this Sandslash to take it out. Once the Excadrill comes in, we can go into Skitty, who is defensive and can always take a crit from this Excadrill. It can eject button itself back out into Rattata, which can use a Choice Banded Guts Boosted Dig to finish off the Excadrill and get me the 5th badge. So, let's take on Skyla directly after. I'm going to lead with Rattata, and he's Choice Scarfed here, so I can outspeed the Swoobat. I hit it with a Guts Boosted Crunch, which will always kill, and the Swanna comes out. I go into Lillipup just for the pivot. Then, I can go back into my Rattata and KO it with a double edge. Rattata's always going to live poison damage plus recoil here, so we're all safe. Then, when the Skarmory comes out, defensive Skitty can actually 1v1 this thing super easily. Same as the Dwebble from before, we can just mess around with it, get to +6, and finish it off with boosted returns. That's gonna get me the Skyla badge. Now's around the time that I found the trainer data document, so I realized if I edge Rattata, I can outspeed and sweep Drayden's entire team with Guts Boosted Returns. That's gonna get me the 7th badge. Okay, here's Marlin. And the only problem with Marlin is the Caracosta, because it has Sturdy and can set up with Shell Smash. So we're gonna have to get around both of these things. I lead off with Pidove, who is pre-damaged, so the Caracosta always sees a kill. I don't want the Caracosta to set up Shell Smashes while I'm trying to break it Sturdy. So I lead with the Pidove, use Taunt, so it can't use Shell Smash at all. Let Caracosta take my Pidove away. It's okay. It's alright. Then, I go directly into Skitty, which can fake out the Caracosta and break its Sash. Then, I'm going to let Caracosta hit my Skitty so I can eject button out. This is why I needed to taunt, because Caracosta doesn't see a kill on Skitty, and it could go for Shell Smash and ruin everything. But, once the Caracosta hits my Skitty, eject button out into Deerling, now a Choice Banded Seed Bomb can take out the Caracosta in one hit. Then the Wailord and the Jellicent in the back fall to the same thing. This is gonna get me the final gym badge. We catch a nice Swablu, then we have to fight Colress, but first, here's a little peek at what the squad's looking like right now. Everybody is EV trained and completely ready for this fight. So let's get right into it. Okay, so first up is this Magneton with Eviolite and Sturdy. And this Magneton, through testing, I realized, and I still can't figure out why, this Magneton is obsessed with going for Volt Switch. If it can't Thunder Wave your Pokemon, it will go for Volt Switch. And that's why my Minccino is pre-poisoned here. It also has an Iron Ball, so the Magneton can outspeed it. Along with always going for Volt Switch, it always Volt Switches into Magnezone. And the AI does this just because Magnezone has Explosion, which is the highest battle power on the team. We use U-Turn on Minccino, and this is going to break the Magnezone's Sturdy. I now have a safe switch into pre-damaged Lillipup. This is going to give his reversal full power. A reversal is going to be enough to take out the Magnezone and the Klinklang that comes after this. Lillipup's also Choice Scarf, so we can always outspeed both of these. Now, in comes the Metang. And the Metang's always going to see a kill on Lillipup, so it's not going to go for agility. It's going to go for an attacking move. So I can go directly into my Skitty pivot, which will always live a crit from this Metang. That's going to bounce us right back into Rattata, who can take out Metang with a Choice Banded Dig. Then the Behem comes out. And we need another pivot, so we go into Deerling, who can always live a crit from this thing, and Behem will always see a kill on the Rattata, so it's not going to go for Calm Mind. Then we can pivot right back into our Rattata, who can use U-Turn. U-Turn will always kill Behem and let me go into Skitty, who can break the Magneton sturdy with a Fake Out. Then we go into Swablu here as a pivot. And I forgot to edge my Swablu to the level cap of 58, and that would have made it always live a Volt Switch here. It lives anyway, and I can go right back into Rattata, who can finish off this fight with a Choice Banded Dig. And that's Colress. Ghetsis is next, and you have to fight Kyurem right before you fight Ghetsis. You can't change up your party order, and they heal you right before the Ghetsis fight, so I can't pull up with a Guts boosted Rattata. We're gonna have to find a different way. Ghetsis' Cofagrigus has Toxic, and he loves to go for it. So we're gonna Facade right into the Cofagrigus, and even though it phases right through his body, it doesn't matter because we want to get poisoned here. But we don't want the Cofagrigus to go for Protects. That's gonna waste out our poison turns and make Rattata not be able to survive through the entire fight. So we can go into Minccino here, and the only reason Minccino is here is so we can encore the Cofagrigus into Toxic. Since the Cofagrigus sees that Minccino's not poisoned, he's gonna go for that Toxic, and we can encore him right into it. This means we could safely switch back into Rattata, reset the poison turns, and Cofagrigus isn't gonna go for Protect here, so Rattata can take it out right away with a Crunch. But it takes away my Guts with the Mummy, so we're gonna have to pivot out again. Swablu can live any hit from the Seismitoad and send us back out into Deerling. Deerling's gonna take out the Seismitoad in one hit with Seed Bomb, and the Electros comes out. The Electros is a strong mixed attacker, so my Lillipup has an intricate EV spread in order to survive any crit that the Electros throws out. We can use Lillipup to pivot back into Rattata and finish off the Electros with a Guts boosted Facade. Then the Toxicroak comes out. And here's a few things about the Toxicroak. It has Sucker Punch, which has priority, and it can kill Rattata from 73%, which it's at right now. But through testing, the Toxicroak just never went for Sucker Punch, and I don't know why. So that means we can stay safe here and take the Toxicroak out. The rest of Ghetsis' team falls to the same thing, Guts boosted Facade, and that's the Ghetsis fight. I grab my final encounter, which is a Rufflet, and I can take on the Elite Four. We're gonna start with Caitlyn though, because Caitlyn can be swept with Guts boosted Facade. Let's fight Chantal next, and Chantal leads with Cofagrigus, but even a Guts boosted Rattata Crunch isn't enough to take this thing out. So we're gonna lead with Lillipup instead. Lillipup is gonna get at least 20 to 30% on this Cofagrigus to ensure the kill with Rattata. Lillipup will also always live a crit Psychic plus burn damage, so he's always safe here. We can eject button pivot back into Rattata and use a Guts boosted Crunch to finish off the Cofagrigus. It does mummy us though, so when the Golurk comes out, we're gonna have to use Swablu, who can always live any hit from Golurk as an eject button pivot to get our Guts back. Once we have our guts back, it's a sweep from here, and there goes Chantal. You know what? Let's fight Marshall next. Marshall's first 3 Pokemon all fall to Guts boosted Rattata. The sock that comes out last though has Sturdy, so we're gonna have to break it. I go into my plan sack a Deerling that has a Focus Sash and also outspeed the sock. I can break its Sturdy, let it die, and then go right back into Rattata to finish off the battle. Grimsley is last, and I lead with my Rufflet, who's Choice Scarfed. It's gonna take this fake out even if it crits, then it's gonna outspeed next turn and kill the Liepard with 1 superpower. When the Scrafty comes in, I can use my Swablu, who can always live a crit, and pivot me right back into Rattata. And Rattata can take out the Scrafty and even through Intimidate, take out this Crocodile too. Then the Bisharp comes out, and I go into Skitty to get a pivot right back into my Rufflet. And my Rufflet can take out the Bisharp with 1 superpower. And that was the final Elite Four member, Grimsley. This is the final fight against Iris. We can take out her first 2 Pokemon with a Guts boosted Facade, and then the Aggron comes out. And when the Aggron comes out, we're gonna need a pivot. So we go into Swablu, and Swablu can actually live a crit Rock Slide, but it doesn't matter anyway because I'm planning to sack Swablu here. So then we can go right back into our Rattata and hit the Aggron with a Dig. The Haxorus comes out, and when it's here, we can go into Skitty. Haxorus is always going to see a kill on Rattata, so it's not going to start setting up with Dragon Dance. Skitty also has a Focus Sash, so it's always going to live a hit here too. After it takes a hit, we can fire off a Fake Out to break the Haxorus's Focus Sash. And still, the Haxorus is not going to Dragon Dance up here because it sees a kill on Skitty. I let Skitty go down, and then I go right back into Rattata, who can finish it off with a Facade. The Lapras that comes out after also goes down to a Facade. The Archeops comes out last, and here we let Rattata go. All the memories, but now he's gone. We can get a safe switch into Lillipup and hit it with a Choice Scarf Wild Charge. I don't care if Archeops crits me here because I also have Choice Scarf Rufflet who can finish it off with superpower in the back. I can complete the fight with Lillipup, and that makes me the Pokemon champion. Oh, Scoogie. Yes, you can evolve now, Scoogie. There's no more level cap. You can be free, buddy. Have a good life. I seem to forgot to have mentioned many times that my Rattata was actually choice banded through 95% of these fights, which is why I had to make so many pivots. So is a run through this game possible? Definitely. But I wouldn't say feasible. I had to edit my Pokemon's EVs many times. And if you're doing this without just putting the EV modifier items into your game, it's going to take you way too long. And also, the EXP management is extremely difficult toward the end of the game. You're gonna need to use EXP share. It's mostly because your Rattata is gonna sweep through a lot of the stupid trainer fights you're gonna run into, and they get really difficult through the end, so you kind of need to use Rattata. But overall, you can definitely attempt to run like this. But I had fun, and in the end, just like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next episode.